are the shadows
that serve the light.
It's time to fire up the animus, because later this year, Ubisoft is taking us back in time to 1579 as part of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Finally, after years of fan requests, the series is headed to Japan during the era of samurai, shinobi, and shogun. To learn more, IGN was invited to an exclusive tour of Ubisoft's Québec studio, where the developers revealed their vision and ambition for this new-gen only open-world game. And now, we get to take you inside Assassin's Creed Shadows, and tell you all about its setting, its two playable protagonists, and the dynamic world they live in, where every season promises to change the way you play.
As always, for Assassin's Creed game, we try to pick a setting that is a pivotal moment in history, a period that can allow plenty also of gameplay opportunity, and that was the case with the 16th century. So it's a period where it's a pivotal moment because it's a period of transition between the strife of the Sengoku period, which is characterized by decades of continuous civil warfare, and the period of Dou was the return of the shogunate and the return of peace in Japan. So, for example, it would be the last time that samurai will fight major battle, and last time also that they will have a strictly military role.
For the first time since 2015 Syndicate, this year's Assassin's Creed will feature two playable protagonists. Tapping into the culture of 16th century Japan, Shadows leads represent two very different warrior traditions: the strong, noble samurai and the swift, agile shinobi.
In Assassin's Creed Shadows, we really try to focus on having our two playstyles on two different characters with two different storylines.
We do have Naoe as the imagined daughter of a real historical figure, Fujibayashi Nagato, who is her dad and who teaches her shinobi skills. She is a shinobi and she fights like the daughter of somebody who knows exactly what he's doing. Also in the values, and to exemplify that family's values of valor, benevolence, and wisdom.
And to add to that, fighting beautiful woman is a recurrent figure in Japanese literary creations. The sun goddess Amaterasu, she can turn into a ferocious fighter. And also the tale of the Heike features Tomoe, who is a female warrior. And then she is described as a beautiful woman who is as strong as 1,000 male samurai. Naoe, is kind of following the footsteps of her.
Starring opposite Naoe is the samurai warrior Yasuke. He's an important first for Assassin's Creed. Yasuke is the first time the series has ever featured a real historical person as a playable character. Naturally, the team sought out a fascinating figure for this role, the legendary Black Samurai.
As an outsider, first of all, as devs on the team, many of us are not Japanese, so the opportunity to come to the setting and explore the setting as Yasuke was a really awesome opportunity because a lot of players will approach the setting this way as well.
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the sea.
He was likely born in Mozambique, likely stolen as a child by the Portuguese, brought to Japan later in 1579 in their service. Also, Yasuke is somebody who is going to tie together many of the most powerful figures in our era, so he really is a great point of entry to this as well, with Oda Nobunaga on one side, the daimyo that he serves as a samurai, and on the other side, the Portuguese that he arrives with. He really does a lovely job of connecting the dots historically, what we know factually, and then narratively, we had so much fun imagining the kind of person who would have this trajectory.
Yasuke has been featured in many creative writings and media so far. There's like a long list of novels, TV series, dramas that have been inspired by him. Yeah, I think people in Japan are really embracing him as a character, and we really like to, see him representing the samurai spirit.
Together, Yasuke and Naoe offer the two sides of Assassin's Creed's classic toolset, stealth and combat. Your approach to each quest will be entirely dependent on your choice of hero.
Yeah, so your experience will be very different. Like if you enter a castle with Naoe, for sure you will take the path that lead you to your objective in the stealth way. But Yasuke you will enter by the front door and make your way through, so it's really different. But also in the more neutral zone, like just going into the city, a samurai was perceived like the high social class. So if you're with Yasuke with all your armor, like people looking at you, like you're noticeable compared to Naoe that blend in the crowd. The thing that shine the most, I feel, in the Assassin's Creed, it's really the hidden blade, the assassination, being able to stay hidden. So that's the core that we want to keep. What we needed to push forward, it's to feel a bit more modern in the approach. Enemy perception is really impacted by everything around the world. Light and shadow has a big impact, so you can vanish in the shadow. So it's really intuitive how you play. You can destroy light. We worked a lot on enemy behavior to really interact with this environment, slicing bushes if they think you're there.
Parkour has always been something that's pretty iconic and pretty core to the stealth experience, because they go hand in hand. And with Naoe especially, you'll have a lot of different moves that she can do in parkour, and also a dynamic grappling hook that allows her to traversal pretty fast and reach other areas. And it's all physics based, so there's a little bit of improbability sometimes when using it. There's a danger to use it, but you can also perform assassinations from it. So it's quite spectacular when you get the hang of it and start using it.
Naoe's Shinobi skills make her the ideal choice for players who want to get back to the series' stealth roots. She's agile, quiet, and utterly deadly, but also much weaker in a straight-up fight. If you're facing a situation where direct force is required, then Yasuke is the perfect pick.
You can start with Yasuke, then switch to Naoe, and then go back to Yasuke. You know, that's the beauty, is like, because during a quest there are like several steps and you're going to go from one place to another. You want to have this autonomy, this player agency to choose how you want to play the setup.
Still has some of the low-level stealth things available for him, so he can hide in the bush and can crouch a little bit, but he's noisier and he's not as fast. And so of course, when hell breaks loose in the map and a lot of enemies are there, this is where he shines in combat. We also want the combat to feel spectacular, so quite a bit pushed on having a lot of the object destroyable or sliceable.
So it all started up with that fantasy of the katana. Now we can slice through door, slice props, and pretty much everything. So this is why also we've paid so much attention to the details of our weapon, because we know it's such a big part of a fantasy, being able to have like amazing swords in your inventory.
And the other thing, it's when we have like mini boss type of fighter, we really want it to feel like a duel. This exchange of blocking, parrying, dodging, so it's always like kind of a dance with the archetypes.
We've been pushing about making sure that gameplay and art, are not separate, but they're intertwining. When it's raining, the enemies, rather than staying under the rain, they're going to look for places to cover themselves, rather than, staying there. And so that creates new routes for the player compared to before.
So we have now this new cycle of season that goes as you play the game. Each season you have something that we feel that is feel new for the player. And also the AI react to the season, change their place. The bigger difference is of course like summer and winter. So there is the whole agricultural cycle, so plants like growing and all those things. So in summer there's a lot more things to hide inside the bushes, the agriculture if you're going there. In winter people gather more around fire sources, like everything that lose their leaves is not there for you to hide. The tall grass is gone too, so you need to find other type of cover, like deep snow has an impact on the perception. So if you're prone in deep snow, it has an impact.
You go into a pond in the summer, when you go in the winter, or the pond is frozen. You create new and you remove, even at the same time, ways and routes of infiltration, things that you didn't necessarily have before.
Season have steps, so we could see the summer begins, summer ends. So you'll see a transition through shaders, leaf will change and stuff will change, but the big season change will be through loading or through your bike quest. In this regard, we try to stay authentic as possible to match historical events. When an open world quest, it might happen that you will play a quest in autumn and I will play the same quest and I'm going to be in summer. So that's up to the system and the way you play game. The weather system though is entirely dynamic. It could go from clear sky, cloudy, before storm, and then after rain, and then we'll get to pick what we think fits the best each provinces in terms of probability as well.
If it's heavy rain and or fog, well, you won't get the same visibility, so your footsteps are a little bit more masked as well. So players have to adapt constantly to what the environment is giving them, but it allows them to have different opportunities as well. So it's not just hindering the players.
Shadows comes from the same studio that created Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and so you can expect another large RPG-style experience. Rather than encompassing huge swathes of the country as well as surrounding ocean and islands though, Shadows will take place in a more realistically scaled area.
So we focus on the central of Japan because it's where Oda Nobunaga decided to organize his stronghold to start to unify Japan.
On a scale level, maybe we can compare, if you're familiar with the franchise, a little bit more the size of Origin, Assassin's Creed Origins. We did want to have a much closer to real life scale ratio. So because castles took a lot of space and we really wanted the mountains to feel like mountains, so environments feel wider in the games.
When we pick each of our province, we've tried to highlight what are the keywords for each of them, making sure that we reinforce, okay, let's say Omi is the breadbasket, we should see field, agriculture, open sky, Arima is the war field, should feel like that, the barricade, guard passage, stuff like that. So we've did that exercise for all of our provinces, making sure that they have key elements that are unique to them as much as possible.
This setting is perfect for a couple of things, like just looking at the castle, the way they were built, it's kind of a level design by itself. It's so big, it's like an adventure each time you go in the castle. And for the enemies themselves, the different archetype with the armor, the helmet they wear, it's easy for us to create this vocabulary that this guy is stronger than this one.
As for what we'll actually do in this open world, Ubisoft is holding its cards close to its chest for now. But the team promises a non-linear structure that's mostly centered on hunting a number of targets, something that sounds like a potential evolution of Assassin's Creed Mirage's refocused approach from last year.
We're approaching target gameplay in a little bit about in a classic way that we've done so, leading to a target and having them in a place that you need to infiltrate. So that's true for some of our targets, not all of our targets. Having options to be able to take them down, and having some narrative and sometimes some surprises into that. And I think people will like some of the variety that we try to put in our target. But there's also low-level targets everywhere in the game that will allow players to have those emerging moments as well, part of the open world.
One thing that we really wanted at first, it's making sure the world feel alive, and there is those targets always in the world. So it's possible that you encounter some of them without really knowing about them before.
But you can see that the game is objective based. So it's less of follow a quest up to a point, but it's much more, I want to do this, and then you'll find the way out of it.
The team also hints at something of an Assassin's Creed Brotherhood-inspired spy network, which will be built up over time and allow you to assign agents with information-gathering missions.
Now in Yasuke, they do have allies in the world, and they do help people, and sometimes they can help them find what they're looking for. And everything is centralized around them building a hideout where their friends and allies can help them. It's an integral part of the exploration loop. You can call on those allies once in a while.
They are your eyes and ears on the field, so if you use them properly, they will help you to find what you're looking for or what you missed.
Ubisoft Québec makes a promising case for the Assassin's Creed game we've patiently waited years for, but so far we've seen precious little of the game in action. During our tour of the studio, we caught glimpses of a stealth infiltration and a sword fight, things we sadly can't show you here. So far we've not been able to sit down and watch an entire quest play out, never mind go hands-on ourselves. We can only assume the big gameplay reveal then is being prepared for 2024's Ubisoft Forward, taking place on June the 10th. Fingers crossed it'll look every bit as good as it sounds.
We know it's one occasion in our life to do an AC set in Japan. We had to grasp it and make the best out of it. This is why we decided to be very ambitious.
We are creating something that speaks to many people, very moving, authentic, not necessarily based on historical accuracy per se, but something that is honest and respectful, something that fans, will really resonate with.
For more from Assassin's Creed Shadows, check out our detailed breakdown of the new cinematic trailer. And for everything else, stick with IGN.